Now it's Crystal's turn. So we were able to move a tarp over here. John had to cut out. He had some things to go do. So, Crystal, on this area, what are we over here?
So this is our flower garden area mostly. Our whole big plots.
Okay, I'm sorry, what was that size?
This tarp is 40 by 50.
Okay.
So that's why it's kind of like scrunched. Because this is only 30 feet wide. Because that's as much as we can. Because we're trying to like utilize as much of our property as we can. That's why we put flowers and non-edibles here. Mostly because cars drive by on both sides.
On both sides? Okay. Okay.
Actually, so, this is going to be Nancy's plot for her herbs. I'm growing her a bunch of California poppies. So they're sprouting right now. So soon.
So exciting.
Yeah.
Love Nancy.
So this will be ready for that.
So the purpose of the tarp is?
The tarp is for, it helps get rid of weeds, specifically Bermuda grass. If you can put it down in like the dead hottest part of the summer, Bermuda or any of those like running grasses that like sprawl and spread like a centipede grass, their only weakness is the sun. Like they need a lot of sun. They do not grow in shade very well. So if you put this down, it blocks the sun and the water, and so it will kill your Bermuda grass. Like we cover cropped this. That's why it has a lot of like weed type stuff. It was cover cropped, and then we covered it with the tarp over the hottest part of the summer last year. We won't have weeds well into July without even weeding.
So the tarp that's here was on this. Okay. Yeah. So let's head back this way. So what's gonna happen here now? What are you guys doing here?
We're going to be putting in carrots. We're going to seed carrots this weekend. We're going to put in onions this weekend. I might try to seed like kale and see if I can't get away with it.
Okay.
Because I got my new seeder.
You do. You got an awesome new seeder. Yes.
And I have a lot of kale seeds since I grow microgreens.
Okay. So what is the preparation for this area?
So what we'll do, since we have acidic soil, we're going to put down garden lime.
Okay.
According to the soil test that we got, it tells you how much that this plot needs. We have each plot tested every other year. Every other year?
Okay. Yeah. Now, John was mentioning that you guys rotate tomatoes here, peppers on the next one, and so on and so forth, and then the following season you guys move them again.
Yeah.
Okay.
We break them up. Like we'll put tomatoes here probably this year. We'll put some down there. We don't want to keep them all together because if one plot gets diseased, we have another one. Because we don't spray a bunch of pesticides or herbicides or anything on our garden.
Okay.
So we try to keep it as natural as possible. Our neem oil is like the atomic bomb. So anything that is that I consider worse than neem oil doesn't go in our garden, even if it is organic.
Okay.
Because some organic things are just as bad as conventional.
Conventional? Okay.
It's a farce. It really, it's a little concerning about the way they do things and the way they market organic food. The stuff at the grocery store it's a little shady. If you start digging and figuring out how they do it, what they're doing, some organic practices are worse than conventional practices, in my opinion. I would rather you buy local conventional food than go to the grocery store and buy organic, personally.
Thank you for that. Yes. No, and appreciate that little input there. So, what about bugs? Your worms or anything for your plants? How do you handle that?
Like bad ones or good ones?
Both.
So
good and bad.
99.9% of bugs are good.
Got it. Thank you.
So that's why if you start spraying stuff like neem or any kind of organic or not pesticide, you're killing all of your beneficials too, which you absolutely need. And people think like honeybees, we need honeybees. Honeybees are taken care of. They're farmed, they will be fine. It's our local bees. They pollinate 10 times what a honeybee can, and people keep spraying stuff like neem oil on their garden and killing our local bees, like carpenter bees and our bumblebees. Those things, they're going extinct. There was a couple that were put on the endangered list last year. So it's really important that we are very careful about what we put on our garden and when we put it on our garden if we absolutely need it.
So not all bugs are bad bugs.
Not all bad.
We need bugs.
We need bugs. That's correct. Okay.
Stop
All right.
squashing everything.
Yeah, and we use mostly trap cropping. So we plant things that the bad bugs like more. Like sunflowers, we plant every year because the leaf-footed bugs, which are, you know, a huge problem. They love
them.
sunflowers.
I
They
did notice that. I didn't know
It's
what they
their-
were called.
So that's why you had that little patch over there.
Yeah, they're like, a lot of people call them stink bugs, and they are related to like a squash bug, but they have like that flare on their back legs. They love sunflowers. Absolutely, their favorite thing. They would rather be on those than tomatoes or peppers or whatever else they like to wreak havoc
So
on.
what did you call it? Trap?
Yes, it's a trap crop.
Trap crop.
Cucumber beetles really like amaranth. I know this because I tried to grow it as a cut flower and then the cucumber beetles ate it all. So I'm like, well, that's a great trap crop. So we plant it near our garden, but outside.
Outside.
Of our garden.
Okay.
Yeah, we
All right.
usually have a big strip right between these two plots of sunflowers. You can actually
Okay.
see the
So
remnants.
we
of
really
moisture.
like cucumbers, so we've got to plant amaranth
Yes.
out somewhere outside of your garden area, but
Yeah.
they'll be
And
attracted to that.
it-
And then
amaranth is really easy to grow. It just wants to grow. So
what is the, I know you said the leaf-footed bugs like the sunflowers,
yeah.
but what does it then keep them away from?
It keeps them off your tomatoes.
Okay,
So
so sunflowers and tomatoes.
they're suckers. So they like to they'll use their little mouth to pierce your fruit or pierce the plant. And so they'll pierce the plant that's sick and then take it to your next plant and take it to your next plant and they spread it. We have something called anthracnose that spreads that has been a problem for us for a couple of years. We still haven't gotten complete control over it, but once it's in your soil, it's there. It's a fungal disease that causes your fruit to rot within days. So if you've ever gotten like a little target-shaped rotten spot all over your tomatoes, it's
That's what it is.
probably anthracnose, and it's spread by leaf-footed bugs. So if you can get those guys under control or at least minimized, you'll do.
So, Crystal, how long have you been doing this?
We've been gardening for 10 years.
Okay.
This will be our 11th garden.
At what point in time did you start feeling that success that you were,
I'm good at this.
I'm good at this. I can do this. Not as a business, because we'll talk about that later, but more like just satisfaction that yes, I did it.
The first time I pulled a big fat onion out of the garden.
Really?
And that was only 2 years ago.
Oh, are you serious? Oh my
Serious.
goodness.
I haven't
Okay.
grown a good onion until 2 years ago. I've tried and tried and tried because I was growing it my brain thought it was a bulb or a root vegetable, but it's actually a leaf vegetable. And that information just went over my
Over
head
your head.
for
Okay.
so many years. And now now that I understand that it's a leaf vegetable, we're consistently getting big onions now. So it's great.
Cool. All right.
That's why I always tell people, I'm like, onions are not a root. They're a leaf.
They're leaf.
So the more leaves you can get out of it before it bulbs, the bigger your onion will be. So
I'll transfer that out of my root vegetable.
yes, it's a leaf vegetable. I didn't know that. And so yeah, I was trying to grow it like a carrot or a radish, and they need completely different nutrients than
Interesting.
A
Good
leaf
to know.
vegetable.
Things you
Yeah.
don't know. You don't know.
Think you know? Yeah,
You
exactly.
don't know until you know.
You don't
and
know
you
until
do
you
the
know.
best you can with the information you have now.
There you go. There you go. Well, I mean, that's. Okay, so now the next question is going to be, how do they prep this? What's the next step? So, because as you guys can see, they've already done everything. They've already ran the chickens, they've already tarped it, and now it's time for the next step. So, Crystal, what are we doing?
So if we're starting with a completely blank slate,
Okay.
that's the ground has never grown anything. It's completely, like, we have sandy soil. It's literally like beach sand.
Okay.
And so it doesn't retain water or nutrients very well. And so we will till an area because we can turn it around. We can make the soil healthier faster by tilling it one time.
What is
Then
that
after
called?
we go no-till.
What is that called? Is it soil amendment or no? Is that?
Well, when we build our beds, we have these 30-inch beds. You can see these are new ones that we planted last year.
So these are not rows or beds or both? Or
These are beds.
depends on what part of Texas you're in. No?
Well, no, because then we put rows on our beds.
Yes, ma'am.
Our beds are 30 inches wide because you can see it's easy to
Step over them, walk. Okay.
Harvest and do whatever you need on them. And our walkways are about 18 inches and 30 inches. All of our implements on our tractor and things that you buy for like market style gardening, they're based on 30-inch.
On 30-inch, okay.
Yeah.
So sandy soil, you guys are adding compost.
So what we do is once we get the ground, we tarp it. That's ideal. That's what we would like to do because that kills all of your weeds. It makes the seeds that are underneath the tarp germinate and then die, so you have all your surface area doesn't have a ton of weed pressure.
Okay.
Then we will go through and we will amend with garden lime based on our soil test. Then we'll put down green sand.
Green sand. Yes, I've heard about
A
that.
Texas green sand from Texas Organics.
Okay.
Put down green sand. We have very little phosphorus in our soil. Potassium, and our phosphorus is
So.
so. But you need a lot of phosphorus and potassium to have really healthy plants and roots. So we put down lime, green sand, a slow release fertilizer based on the needs that our soil test tells us, and then we put the entire about a 6-inch thick layer of compost. So the compost is a fertilizer as well as a mulch to help keep the weeds down.
So the green sand, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
So you guys have a part of a market. You guys have a Rico Ring and also do Tyler Farmers Market. For my wife and I, it's maybe a family of 4 or 5. Do I need that in my soil, or is it going to maximize my 5 plants that I'm going to have?
Absolutely. I always tell people to get a soil test. That way you know exactly what to put in and it's not a guessing game. It actually makes gardening easier. Soil tests are pretty affordable. I think if you go through I think it's $16 and they'll give you all of your macronutrients, which is your NPK or your nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. And then they'll also give you your micronutrients, which is like boron, magnesium, sulfur, etc., calcium, all of those things. So you know exactly what you need to feed your plants. Because your NPK is like what all plants need, but the other ones, each plant will need varying degrees of your micronutrients. And so if you want to maximize your output, it's easiest to figure out what you need to put back into the soil.
So there you go.
And East Texas in general has very little nitrogen and acidic soil.
Acidic soil, okay.
So most of East Texas, if you don't want to do a soil test, I do suggest putting some lime down and some a good nitrogen fertilizer.
Okay.
Unless you're growing blueberries, and then your blueberries need the acidic soil.
They do like the acidic soil, except my soil for blueberry, my soil is a 5.3, and they prefer it a little bit higher, like 5.6 to.
And all these numbers will come back
on your soil
test.
And
there
they'll
it
tell you
is.
exactly how much per 1,000 square feet you need to put down.
Perfect.
So it literally takes the guessing game out of it.
Okay.
These were tomatoes last year, and peppers, mostly tomatoes, peppers, and eggplant here. And so we won't put any of our nightshades in here again, especially since we have anthracnose, which is a problem mostly with peppers and tomatoes. So we'll leave this with we'll put onions and we'll put lettuces and cucumbers and melons in this plot this year. We'll put tomatoes here. We'll probably put some more tomatoes down there again. But we just kind of break it up. That way, if we lose one plot, we don't lose the other.
You don't lose the other spot. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So around what time is it when you start putting the seeds down? Is it right after the first or the last frost?
Depends on the seed.
Okay.
So we're going to be seeding carrots this weekend. And this next Tuesday with the really cold weather coming, it may or may not be good.
Sowing?
Yeah, because
Direct
carrots are a root vegetable. They need to be direct sown. Otherwise, you'll end up with carrots with like gnarly, like twisted craziness, because they like to send their root straight down. So we'll probably broad fork, or I guess we don't have a broad fork, but we have like a pitchfork or a potato fork. And we'll just loosen this. We won't till it. We'll just loosen it to get some air into the ground. And then we'll use our power harrow, which is, it smooths out the top like 2 inches of the soil. So it's not destroying your entire soil biology. It's just to make your bed nice and even. To
Nice and
make
even.
it a lot easier to sow seeds into a nice flat even bed.
Okay.
So
And
that's why we're considered low till and not no till, but we do not turn everything, and your worms are all going to be 5, 6, 10 inches down. So we have worms here now.
You have worms?
We did not have any worms. We tilled this entire thing and didn't see a single one. And now we put the cover crop down, which was a lot of root vegetables, radishes and stuff, and the worms came. So
Do you do any worm casting?
we do. We do our own vermicomposting. We get about 20 pounds of worm castings every 2 or 3 months. And so we'll put a little bit of that in each hole, because with worm castings, a little bit goes a long way.
So the chickens leave a lot of that there. So you have the chickens, you have the worms.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else that you were doing here in your home?
On our property?
Yes, ma'am.
We just started tinkering in Korean natural farming, which basic premise is to be able to get all of your fertilizers and all of your amendments to your soil off your own land, because plants that naturally thrive here, your weeds, they already have everything they need. And so if you can use those to put back into your own land, you're keeping the cycle here and just moving nutrients around.
So you compost those weeds, put them back in the ground?
It's very complicated. It's a whole thing, and I know very little about it.
It's a whole different series, babe.
It is. It's like people go to school for years for this. It requires fermentation and waiting and dilution and all kinds of craziness. It is way more than we can get into very quickly.
Okay, all right.
But if you are really curious on how to minimize your inputs, because if you can keep everything on your land and not have to go outside, then you're minimizing your emissions, you're minimizing the cost that you put into your garden. And so that's ideally what we would like to do, is just be completely self-sufficient.
Self-sufficient, yes.
So we don't have to wait until the fish guys mill up some fish for fish emulsion, we can just pull it off of our own land. So that's the ultimate goal.
Nice. Okay, all right. So these chickens will be getting moved down there to the last
The next garden plot
to the next plot down there. That's the one that John and I cleaned up last time. I think we did a good job. Did we do a good job?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you did.
Okay, all right.
I was
Woohoo.
excited that it was done.
Yes.
To do it.
All right.
And then we'll move that tarp there, because most of the flowers that are going to be in here are cool flowers, which like the cold, so they'll go in before the last frost. And the tarp will be moved here.
Here where the chickens are at, right?
Yeah. And it'll cover it until we get our warmer crops in here, and then same.
So how long? What are we looking at time frame with? What do you got? 20 chickens roughly? 30 chickens, and
Ish.
Okay, ish, yeah.
Exactly.
So you have them here. They clean up, and then you just take them off. What do you typically? 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
We don't want them to destroy our beds. We just want them to do like a light
Clean up,
scratching,
yeah.
just like a cleanup, and then that way they don't just completely like mow down our bed. We want to keep those there.
Now, John did mention that there was a little bit of burning going on after the chickens get moved from there. He'll get the torch and maybe burn some of the weeds off.
Yeah.
Okay.
So ash is really good to help with soil acidity, especially wood ash. Don't put too much. A little bit goes a long way, because once you lower your pH, it's really hard to bring it back up.
Bring it back up.
So if you lower it too much, it's really hard to bring it back up. That's why it's absolute nonsense that pine needles will raise your soil acidity, because it's really hard to raise it. Ask anybody who has had to raise or had to lower their pH or raise the acidity in their soil. It's not easy.
Not easy.
It takes years.
Okay.
So if people want to plant blueberries and their soil is not acidic enough, ask those people how easy it is to lower your soil pH, because it's not easy. Pine needles aren't going to do that.
Okay.
It's just not going to happen.
Is there anything else that you would like to share with us that we haven't covered? I mean, I know we can sit here and talk for days on weeks and months, but for the first starters,
For
you know,
the
like
first-time growers,
yeah, first time growers like ourselves.
If you've never grown a garden before, just watch your garden. Put an all-purpose fertilizer down and just watch it, because every plant has its own way of growing. It has a unique way that it grows and buds and sprawls, and all of that you'll learn, and then you'll be able to see when things go wrong. You'll notice when things aren't right just by spending time in your garden and amongst the plants, just seeing how they do it, like seeing how they just watching how they grow.
Okay.
Observe your first year.
Observe. Okay.
And then go from there.
Okay. So I think we've done a bunch of observing for the last 2 years, because we don't know what we're doing, man. So we just watch it.
Technically, last year we didn't do anything because we didn't plant anything.
And know your limitations.
Right.
Like,
That's what we learned the first year. Was
Yeah.
that,
you don't have to go all out. Know that if you're not the type of people that are gonna get out and weed every day, put down fabric. Make it easy on yourself.
We
If
thought.
you know you're not gonna be able to get out there in the middle of the summer to water like us, put down line. Put down a water line. Make it easy on yourself.
So
Set yourself up for success.
we did it, and then the rains got here, and then the weeds got here, and then
last year was bad though.
yeah. So
Last year I hate that any new gardener in East Texas anyway started last year, because it was just
the drought.
it was such a bad year.
Yeah.
It was a bad year for us. We pulled water in the end of June because we were putting way more time and money into the garden than we were getting out. So
And you guys are a business, and that right there hurt. Okay.
I mean, we broke even on the garden last year, so that's all we can ask.
That's tough. That's tough.
But at least we didn't just like.
All right, Crystal. So, again, for the first time growers or gardeners, what's an easy upkeep plant that, that it could be in a pot, it can be something small that they don't have to work their land. What do you recommend?
So I think that everybody should grow kale, because it just wants to grow. It's really easy. Yeah, kale is really easy. Collards are really easy. Mustard greens, they're really easy to grow. Radishes, same thing. They just want to grow.
Yes, we found some, right, baby? I think they were from the goat.
Even if they go to
turnips.
even
Oh,
if
turnips.
they flower, they have like these little like seed pods before the seed gets fully mature, and they are like these sweet radish tasting. They're delicious, and they're great in a salad, and they look like little pea pods. They're so cute, little pointy pea pods, and they're so delicious. In fact, we sold some last year at one of the Reco rings because we had the cover crop and we didn't want a bunch of seeds, so we just picked little baggies of them, and they're like, just throw them on your salads. And most people haven't eaten them, so it was really exciting for them.
So I need to correct myself. It's Reco, not Rico.
Oh well, I called it Rico for almost a year before I was corrected.
But what is it? Is it Reco?
It's Reco. Yeah.
It's my accent. I'm gonna go with my accent.
No,
It's Rico.
it was Rico for almost a year before somebody was like, you're pronouncing it wrong. What happens
no.
when you use foreign languages for something in the United States? I'm just saying, especially the South.
So,
They're gonna say it the way they want to say it.
Well, there you go, guys. See, she's giving us pretty good advice there. So this is actually a family thing that you guys got going on, right? It's you, it's John, and it's the kids.
Yep, my kids are very much involved.
They're very much involved. Okay, all right.
We don't force them.
No,
Like if they want to, they can.
but they naturally just kind of fall into,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that with you guys, and okay, all
We
right.
go play on the compost pile while we're working and just being around us.
You know, we bought Gabriel, sorry, he doesn't like it when I call him Gabriel. I need to call him Gabriel. We bought him a big old pile of dirt, and he was happy as could be. So I can only imagine compost. So,
It's true.
you got any questions for her? No, you're good, guys. I need to put my wife in here. She's getting better, right? Encourage her, please. Encourage her. All right, so guys, this is it. We're gonna move on to somebody else. Again, we're gonna continue this. This is gonna be a series for all the videos. I'm gonna come back because I want to see what their garden looks like and get a little bit more information from Crystal because she's got a lot of knowledge. And here in the next couple of days, I will be talking to some of the people in our Facebook group and try to get some information so that I can set up some more videos. But right now we're gonna go inside and talk to Crystal about her microgreens because that's a different video on its own. So I'm just here taking up all her time. So she's just gonna have to, put up with me for another 3 hours. I don't know.
Just kidding.
Just kidding. But that's it, guys. Thank y'all, and please leave any comments on here. Subscribe to our channel. Like the video, don't like the video. Give us some feedback. Oh yeah, and look, guys, she's already started her berry patch here. Hers is fancy. Ours is like wonky looking and about 5 foot separated and everything else.
They even have new little leaves.
See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what I want to do. I want to get to that point where I'm excited about leaves, guys. Like, look at that one.
It's got new little leaves. It's alive.
It is alive. Oh my goodness. See, I need to come back and do this video right here. Maybe I can. So how long is? See, now I'm just gonna move to another question. How long are these guys gonna take before they get some fruit in them? Or
Has to be.
is it fruit or veg? What's the correct?
They're a new variety.
Okay.
And so they're like
Primark Freedom.
yeah, Primark Freedom is what they are, but they're supposed to fruit on the new canes. So it's supposed to fruit the first year.
The first year.
Yeah, and it's twice.
She
Oh my
said twice.
gosh.
She said once in early
So
summer.
I don't know. I've never grown them before. I've never experienced it, but that would be awesome because
So let's go
it's
ahead and.
gratification.
You know what, Krista? Since you brought that up, who are we getting stuff from here? Like your compost and some of your local guys that you want to give a shout out to. This is the time to do it, girl. So bring it. Who do you recommend to get some good stuff from around here?
Well, we've used Texas Organics for years. We've heard really good things about Vital Earth. I think last year Texas Organic got really overwhelmed by the amazing garden revolution that we're in right now. Like everybody decided to garden, and so I think their soil quality kind of suffered last year. But we've used them for years. We'll try them again this year and see if they improve or not. But we're hoping. But other than that, we get our green sand from Texas Organics too.
Okay. And
Get
the-
their premium compost, which already has green sand mixed in, or you can just get regular compost and like green sand by the bucket.
so I'm gonna need that information from you later on. That way I can get some locations, and they're located in the Tyler area, right?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. All right, guys. So what we'll do is I'm gonna get that information from Crystal, and then I'll post it on the description. Give you guys a couple of links. That way, if you guys are interested, in plants or compost or anything else that she's got for us, we're gonna get that from her. So, like I said, we're gonna take a break right now, and then we're gonna start a different video. So go ahead and check that one out as well. Okay.